Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Putra Ashishad and my group members is Hasif Taqiyuddin, Muhammad Johan, Aisyah Safia and Nur Hafizah. We are from class DLM 3A. Today I want to talk about evaluation of financial performance for Mariki Berhad company. So, first is a component of financial statement. Statement number 1 is profit and loss. Comprised of revenue and expenditures incur the period. Net sales are shown on the top of each statement. Various costs and income tax are subtract. Earning and dividend report is given at the bottom statement. Number 2 is financial position. It is statement of asset, liabilities and equities at the date. The equation is asset equal to liabilities plus owner equity. The specific point in time presenting its asset holding, liabilities and owner supplied capital. Alright. Number 3 is cash flow. It provides summary of operating, investment and financing cash flow period. Cash movement detect by observing where the money came from and what it was used for. Alright, number 4 is change in equity. It presenting the movement in reserve comprising the shareholder equity. Alright, number 5 is note to account. It provide explanatory data for related amount to be understood by user of financial statement. For the user of financial statement, we use manager as a user. Manager job is to employ ratios to help analyze, control and improve their firm operation. Furthermore, we move to the financial analysis. First, the usage of financial ratio. It relative measure that facilitates the evaluation of efficiency or condition of a particular aspect of a firm operation and status. Ratio analysis involve method of calculating and interpreting financial ratios in order to assess a firm performance and status. There are 3 types of ratio comparison, which is historical analysis. Historical analysis, it look at ratio of a firm from one period and compare it to the same ratio from another period. Second is budget analysis. It actual performance ratio of a firm compared with the firm has project performance ratio. And number 3 is competitive ratio. It comparing ratio of particular firm with other firm ratio within the same industry. Alright. For the importance of financial ratio is it simplifies the comprehension of financial statement. It help in planning and forecasting. It also help in investment decision and lending decision. The next one is facility in term firm comparison. And the last one is evaluate the management performance related to profitability, efficiency and risk. Alright, in this assignment, we have to make financial ratio based on statement of Mariki Berhad. Currently, Mariki Berhad company is in the process of applying for a business loan from Chem Bank and has submit their financial statement for 2 years accounting period to the bank. Alright.
Now, I, Aisyah Safia, as a financial manager of Chem Bank, will present to you the financial statement of Mariki Berhad. Currently, Mariki Berhad is playing very well. However, it began affected by this spending situation. All we need is to find Mariki Berhad financial support to ensure their monthly claim. So, about Mariki Berhad liquidity ratio technique, their current ratio has been increasing from 1.64 times to 2.15 times. Meanwhile, their quick ratio has been increasing from 0.93 times to 1.23 times. Next, for asset management ratio, the inventory turnover has made it from 7.2 times to 7.7 times. Then, for the days sales outstanding is from 43 days to 26 days, which is good for their company. And their non-current asset is increasing from 0.87 times to 1.0 times. Besides that, the total asset turnover of Mariki Berhad increased from 1.13 times to 1.46 times. Move for the next profitability ratio. This company also shows good performance over the last year with net profit margin is 9%. Gross profit margin of Mariki Berhad is 23.3%. In addition, return on asset is 13.17% and return on equity about 27.7%. They successfully turned down the debt ratio with better performance, operating last year with 52.44%. On the other hand, they managed to spend time on interest in with 10 times compared to last year, started with 4.4 times. Last but not least, the debt to equity ratio for their company performance is 110.26%. To be short, we have calculated on every angle and we think that the Meraki Berhad in good condition due to their performance and financial statement. Next, I will give to the next presenter, which is Johan.
Okay, next we move to compare on each calculated ratio. Firstly, we go to the liquidity ratio. For the company, current ratio performance in 2020 is better than 2019, which is 2019 is 1.64 times and 2020 is 2.15 times. Next is the quick ratio. The company quick ratio performance in 2020 is better than 2019, which is 0.93 times and 2020 is 1.23 times. Secondly, we move to asset management ratio. The company inventory turnover performance in 2020 is better than 2019, which is 2019 is 7.2 times and 2020 is 7.67 times. Next, the company days sales outstanding performance in 2020 is better than 2019, which is 2019 is 43 days and 2020 is 26 days. For the non-current asset turnover performance in 2020 is better than 2019, which is 2019 is 0.87 times and 2020 is 1.07 times. For the total asset turnover performance in 2020 is better than 2019, which is 2019 is 1.13 times and 2020 is 1.46 times. Thirdly is the profitability ratio. The company net profit margin performance in 2020 is better than 2019, which is 2019 is 5.56% and 2019 is 9%. For the gross profit margin performance in 2020 is better than 2019, which is 2019 is 20% and 2020 is 23.33%. For the return on asset performance in 2020 is better than 2019, which is 2019 is 6.25% and 2020 is 13.17%. And for the return on equity performance in 2020 is better than 2019, which is 2019 is 14.71% and 2020 is 27.7%. Lastly, we talk about debt management ratio. The company debt ratio performance in 2020 is better than 2019, which is 2019 is 57.5% and 2020 is 52.44%. For the time interest earned performance in 2020 is better than 2019, which is 2019 is 4.4 times and 2020 is 10 times. Lastly, debt to equity ratio performance in 2020 is better than 2019, which is 2019 is 135.3% and 2020 is 110.26%. And that's all for me. Thank you.
I, Muhammad Hasif Takiuddin bin Zusfa Izam, will continue with evaluate the overall financial performance. Financial performance is a subjective measure of how well a firm can use assets from its primary mode of business and generate revenues. The term is also used as a general measure of a firm's overall financial health over a given period. First is liquidity ratio. A liquidity ratio is a type of financial ratio used to determine a company's ability to pay its short-term debt obligation. The metric helps determine if a company can use its current or liquid assets to cover its current liabilities. The financial performance of Meraki Berhad is the company overall performance for liquidity ratio in 2020 is better compared to 2019. Secondly is efficiency ratio. The efficiency ratio is typically used to analyze how well a company uses its assets and liabilities internally. And efficiency ratios
can calculate the turnover of receivable, the repayment of liabilities, the quantity and usage of equity, and the general use of inventory and machinery. This ratio can also be used to track and analyze the performance of commercial and investment banks. The overall performance of Milky Berhad is the company overall performance for efficiency ratio in 2020 is better compared to 2019. Next is leverage ratio. A leverage ratio is any one of several financial measurements that look at how much capital comes in the form of debt or assesses the ability of a company to meet its financial obligation. The leverage ratio category is important because companies rely on a mixture of equity and debt to finance their operation, and knowing the amount of debt held by a company is useful in evaluating whether it can pay off its debts as they come due. The overall performance of Maliki Berhad is the company overall performance for leverage ratio in 2020 is better compared to 2019. Lastly is profitability ratio. Profitability ratios are a class of financial metrics that are used to assess a business ability to generate earnings relative to its revenue, operating costs, balance sheet assets, or shareholders' equity over time using data from a specific point in time. Profitability profitability ratios can be compared with efficiency ratios, which consider how well a company uses its assets internally to generate income. The overall performance of Maliki Berhad in the company overall performance for profitability ratio in 2020 is better compared to 2019.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. I'm representative of Sham Bank Officer regarding to the business loan from Mariti Berhad and their financial statement for 2 years account period to our Sham Bank. Sham Bank already gone to the document briefly and approved the business loan. The loan will be monitored on Mariti Berhad performance as well as always follow the terms on our agreement. Reason why we approve their loan because first is character. Mariti Berhad has a good credit history. Business references and product quality are already analyzed by bankers. Second is capital. The goal was set by the company's capitalization as a percentage of total investment cost. Personal capital investment shows commitment to business success. Therefore, Mariti Berhad invests more personally. Capacity is the third Sham Bank ensures Mariti cash flow to repay the loan on time. The number and quantity of current debts are also compared to the projected monthly income and accepted by our bank. Fourth is collateral. Mariti Berhad also guarantees to our bank provide personal assurance to our Sham Bank executive. This technique protects our bank and encourages continual collaboration between the bank and Mariti's company to ensure business growth. List is fifth is condition with extensive lending and same business. Sham Bank accepted the risk loan to Mariti Berhad. That's all for me. Thank you.